Yeah, so welcome to day 6. So day 6, now we're going to be kind of putting together this level that we designed, and we're going to try to create a VR shooting game out of that. So this part is actually really interesting because this is where we're actually kind of reeling in the knowledge that we pulled together so far, and kind of using all of it as this kind of final project. And what better way to do it than in a shooting game? Because a shooting game has enemies, has a player, has movement, has level design, and etc. So I'm just first gonna start with just some concept first, just some theory. So when we say game, something that's a game, there's many definitions for what a game is, especially nowadays. But in essence, a game is really, it kind of has a beginning, it has an end, it has a goal, it has a protagonist, it has an antagonist, it has something that kind of tries to get from point A to point B, and then to some final point. So the game should be very clear as to what is happening as well. Like the player should kind of know what he's entering into, and that's what kind of we were working on yesterday, was designing this environment and kind of where we're going to tell our story, and then kind of giving the player this intro almost. It's like a long corridor, and the player kind of doesn't really have a choice. He has to walk down that corridor, and he's greeted with these messages, and the messages should kind of tell the player, a little bit about where he is and what or she is, and what's going on in this world. So the first thing that we really want to kind of, in order to make this into a game, is you need some baddies to shoot. So what we're gonna do is, just while some people are still importing and stuff, I want you to go ahead and go over to Mixamo, and we're gonna pick out our enemy. So it's just the same Mixamo we've been using so far. Log yourself in. Oops. And click store, and then characters, and then just pick like an appropriate character for whatever you want to be shooting at. So I'm gonna pick like this monster looking thing. Looks pretty awful. So just go on mixamo.com, sign in with an Adobe account if you don't already have one. If you don't want to do that, I can also just fix this guy up and just give you the package. So, but if you want to choose like your own baddie, go on here. So once you have him selected here, you go to find animations, and we're gonna need a few animations here. So the first one that you need, since this is technically an AI that we're gonna design, it's not gonna be a very complex AI. It's not gonna have emotions and stuff. It's gonna be, a simple AI. So the first thing that you always kind of want is some sort of idle animation. So just something that when the AI isn't going anywhere, that he's not like absolutely still like T-pose, but that he's still kind of like maybe looking around or whatever. So something like this, is an alright idle animation. So either like this or something very relaxed, like just kind of like this. That works too. So I'm actually gonna pick this one. So I'm gonna add that to pack. Then the next animation that you need is some sort of walk animation. So we need some sort of looping walk animation. Now you have to make sure it's walking in place. And I'm gonna go for like this zombie one, like this kind of, blur. Now notice that he's walking off center, so we don't want that. We want to make sure that you select this check mark in place, because then we can very easily loop this, and then we control the movement in our code. That's how we're going to do it. We're not, the animation itself should just be in place, and when he switches to a walking animation, we will move him in code towards our player, basically. So we need an idle animation, walk animation, so I'm going to add that to pack. Then we're going to need some sort of attack animation. So something when once the zombie or whatever enemy AI is approached to you, so it's some distance, it will kind of start wailing at you. So something, that negative consequence that you want to avoid as a player. You don't want to let them get too close to you. Ideally, you would probably shoot them before they do. So something like this zombie attack is perfect. So just kind of looks like he's just reaching out and hitting you. So again, if you're just fine with the zombie that I'm using, I'm just gonna pack this up and put the file on Slack. But if you want to use your own character and stuff, just kind of follow what I'm doing. So make sure you got an idle, walking, and now I'm putting this one's called zombie attack. And then the last one, can someone guess what the last animation is gonna be?
Fall, right?
Yep. So something like fall. Yeah, like fall over is a good one. This one has a holding a gun. That's still fine. Shoulder hit and fall. Let's see about die. Die. Dying backwards. It's too slow. Falling back death. Yeah, that one's fine. Something like that. So 4 animations. And then once I'm happy with that, I'm going to add to my assets. Then when you're in here, you just have to, sometimes this is just a mix mode thing, it's bugged. Remember how I made the walking animation in place and then I added to my assets, and now the walking animation isn't in place. So just make sure that your settings are the same as you want them once you did add it to your assets. So we got the walking, idle, zombie attack, and falling back death. So that's all we need. So I got that. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna go to view download, and then I'm gonna go to queue download, FBX for Unity, and I'm gonna download that. And as soon as I have that, I'm gonna put it up on Slack too. All right, there it is. So his name is Parasite L. So, all right, here we go. Okay, so the zip file is up. Once you have the zip file, just the same as what we've been doing so far, you grab that zip file, extract it, and then once you extracted it, you're going to pull it into Unity. At some point, once you have a lot of characters and stuff, it's a good idea to just make a characters folder. New folder, let's call it characters. And then once it's good to pull the characters in a characters folder, just so that it doesn't get all kind of messy in there. So,
are you supposed to change the frame per second right now?
nah, just make sure it's FBX for Unity. That's the only thing. Yeah, that's all fine. So we're just kind of preparing our project right now. We got our our enemy in there, and then there's going to be a few more things that we're going to do to prepare our game. So, take your time and get that in there. The other thing now that we want to do, so we're going to do just a little bit more level design before we kind of continue into the next part. So now, I want to again just kind of like re-emphasize what I said yesterday about using assets as building blocks. So good assets can very often be repurposed in better ways. Now obviously, like, this asset is pretty great. It could be, even doper, I think, if you could even move the guardrails and stuff, but it's not necessary. So what I actually want to look for here is, you see this monitor display asset, this one right here. So this has a really good back right here. So what I'm actually going to do is I want you to grab this one right here, and here's what I want to do with this, right? And I'm just going to let you all kind of play with this, and then I'm going to come around and make sure everyone's got it. I want you to copy it and pull it like towards the end here. And now this is actually going to go below our level, and I'm going to turn this so this back side is facing up. Oops. So just kind of turn it like this, make sure it's 90 degrees. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it like way up, like 10 or something like that. Might actually be a little bit too much, maybe like 6, something like that. And then since this bottom is actually transparent, because this was actually never meant to be seen like this, I'm actually going to copy that again, and this time this other side I'm just gonna take the scale, see, because this is in Z, I'm gonna make the scale -6, and then to make it like mirrored, and I'm gonna take 2 of these mirrored pieces and fit them together like this. So here I've just kind of repurposed one of the assets. It's this thing, this thing. So I'm using the back side of this. Yeah. So go ahead and do this, and I'm just gonna kind of come around and make sure everyone's got the stuff all working. But basically, just to explain what we're doing here. So this is technically our level 2, right? So when you hit the portal, you're actually going to be teleported down here, and this is where the baddies are going to be for you to shoot. So yeah, just go ahead and kind of place this level 2 asset in there. So I'm going to come around and make sure everyone's on the same page. Yep. And you know which one I used, right? So it's that monitor one. Oh, so the scene that you want to open now is its capacity, light, and scene right there. Yes, open that one. So let's go that one. No, I didn't. Double click it. Oh, okay, can't. Double click it.
What would happen if I said version?
I think it thought you were dragging into itself or something like that. Yeah. Just let it zoom out, see it's calculating the light. It'll take us a minute. But yeah, you got the same scene now. And yeah, basically just whenever that's done, yeah, grab that piece and kind of do something similar to what I did over there. Yeah. So before you do that, kind of get your camera more in there, kind of like at a closer angle, and you really want to, if we're working on this below, so it's going to be like a level below. Yeah, so you want to grab that piece, you're going to make it maybe like the size of 6, something like that, and yeah, something like that. And just in each side, just make it 6. And yeah, and then once you got that, make sure the Z is also 6. Yeah, and then just try to place it like how I have it. So I have it kind of like under and perpendicular. Yeah, this is just kind of good practice of using these assets as building blocks.
So,
So we've got, let's see what animations we have.
I have idle walking past
Yeah, let me just see, make sure the walking is in place. Yeah, that might not be the best walking animation. See, it doesn't even have the in place feature. Let's try to find another one. You might have this break walking or walking.
You know how to reset, like if I drag this, it kind of goes on an angle. Do you know, is there a way to reset
Oh,
this?
just set the rotation angle, make that 90 degrees there. Make both of them 90 degrees. That's exactly. Well, that's 180. You want to keep that to 180. Yeah. Again, that's like, it's not really like a walk like forward. You kind of want like this. Well, it looks like you're holding a gun maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of up to you, but definitely something that looks like is walking like forward. Something like that, or, yeah, and then make sure you have the in place thing in there. I kind of went for more like a zombie walk, because mine's kind of like a zombie, but it's, yeah, it's up to you how you want. And then once you want that, you do add to pack. And now you do add to my assets. So once you have it, now again, go to walking and click it in there, and then you have to press the in place again, because Excel just forgets it once you add it back for some reason. Yeah, then once you have that, then you do the view download. And just where's the zip file? Yeah, just show me. Just, I mean, don't open the zip file. Just show me where the file it is, not WinZip. Could you use 7-zip? Yeah, so right click it, 7-zip. You already have 7-zip. Yeah, and then extract so you can cover it. Yeah. It's really fast. And then folders like probably below. Under, all the way down, yeah.
What format should be downloaded?
FBX for Unity. I'll put it there. And
Did you also upload animation?
yeah, it's all there. The zip file with the entire character.
I'm going to make sure these are put together right, besides just pieces.
Yeah, so kind of look at them closer, and yeah, I kind of just eyed it out.
But I mean, is there a way to just
It really depends on the asset. Like, there's really no way you can know. But one thing that you should always make sure is that the angles are right, right? So you want to have this probably be 0. Or forget the touchscreen. You want to.
It's not a touchscreen.
So see, you have a plus now. So rotation. Like, see, because the rotation is a little bit off. So you want to make that 0. Then that's probably negative 270 degrees. To get that exact. Yeah, and then that one's 0. They do the same for the other one, and then you can be like 100% sure that yes. The only thing is, since I believe what you did was you rotated the other one into place. Okay. So what I actually did was I mirrored it, because if you see, yeah. So what you want to do actually is grab, like, say you grab, if you want to mirror it, you copy it. And then its scale, it's 6, to make it negative 6, to make it like there, see? And then you get the exact like mirror image of the shape. Sometimes it might not quite fit if you rotate it. If you mirror it, it pretty much will always.
Something where I drop one into the other here or something. So
You-
there's a movie.
Well, if you want to, yeah, but we're still going to be doing a few more things with
Sure.
this. So,
So my computer is suffering because of blender texture color or something.
yeah, it's probably
Which one should I?
the water.
Is it a small water? Really?
Well, it's not suffering. It's just.
It's like really having a hard time with the GPU problem this morning.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. can you
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it?
fix it up. But that's okay. It's probably the water. If you want to just disable the water for now, because it's just a graphical thing. But it seems like yeah, it's a little hot, but I mean that's kind of how it be sometimes. But it seems like it's running fine. I can tell from the frame rate. So again, just no rush with this. We're still kind of level designing and stuff. We're not gonna get into the coding again for like another hour at least, I think, until we got this kind of set up. But so the next thing that we're gonna do here, and again, I'll just keep coming around to make sure that everyone's up to speed. But what we want to do is we want to kind of create from this bench, right? You kind of want to grab this bench now, and we want to use this as like a barrier of sorts. So let's just put our bench down here, and we can kind of use this and make it like a bit bigger, something like that. You could even maybe turn it like this. Oh, maybe not. This should be fine. Or actually turn the, yeah, that would be better. Let's turn like the gray side towards us. You see, now we're kind of still keeping consistent with the design. So something like this. Make sure we kind of put a wall here. And it's okay if it goes in the ground a little bit. It's fine. So the ambient occlusion is for it. Make it look good. So I want to design something like this. And same thing, I want to kind of grab some of these and make them on the side. Something like that, right? Doesn't look too shabby, right? So just go ahead and design this, and you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm kind of designing level 2 here, technically. It's okay, this outside stuff doesn't matter what it looks like because you're not actually going to see it. You're only going to really see it from the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this and just kind of copy along these walls like so.
Is that gonna fall?
Nope, they're not physics, so they're just like props. So something like that.
You scale them though.
Yeah, I made them like bigger. And as you can see now, we've kind of designed a whole nother section here. So it's as easy as that. See that? And in here, it looks great. So we have our top level. And then the other thing that I'm going to do, and this is optional, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to grab some of these arrows, and I'm going to put them down here, just to really let the player know where you should be going. That way. So I want the player to go this way. Just like that. And this is all from a free pack. So you can see how much flexibility you can have when you actually work with some good assets. And then right at the end here, I'm gonna turn these like that. Now, this is completely up to you and your preference, but I'm gonna do it something like this. And at the end of that, I'm gonna grab this portal and put another portal at the end for a so-called level. Something like this. Okay? I kind of don't like how these arrows look. Then the last thing is I want to grab one of these signs for this level design. You can choose whichever sign you want, but I want to use these signs to create a wall here. Just like this. So it has like a little, you know, I might even just stretch it. So it has just a little doorway here, right? Then I'm gonna copy the other one and I'm gonna put it all the way here, and I'm gonna make a doorway on the right side now. See? So I made like one here. Now there's a doorway here, and then there's a doorway there. And the last one, the same thing. So it's not just like a straight line. There's a little bit of a navigation that needs to be done. Now don't make it too closed, this door. You can freely leave some space a little open there. But the idea is that it's basically almost like kind of like a labyrinth. Not quite, but the player is going to kind of go like this, then he's going to go like that, then he's going to go like that, and then that's where his prize lies. Something like this. And the goal of this is to show you how our little AIs that we're going to create, how they're actually going to find their path through this maze. So now go ahead and just kind of design something similar to this. It doesn't have to be quite like this. You don't have to use this sign. You can use the green one, or you can even use one of these benches and size them differently. It's completely up to you. I am going to also put arrows at these doors, and just so the player knows exactly where to go. No question about that. Oh, it's transparent. Never mind. Yeah, those ads were transparent, so the arrows weren't showing up properly. So I just made the ads opaque. So just have a little fun with this. Again, these arrows are great. It's important to let the player know what he should be doing. You'd be surprised how misleading some things can be sometimes. Something that makes sense to you because you're the designer might not always make sense to the person playing. So arrows are great for that. Yep. So go ahead and just kind of set this up. You see, we kind of pulled together completely non-meant for this assets, and we use them as building blocks, and we created a whole nother section over here. So just a whole lot of fun. Probably make this game view and stuff smaller. Probably pull this whole screen down. Just help yourself a little bit better.
I'm making the spectrum just running these two dimensions. This one. And then the
Yes, you seem to have them the bottom side of them, see it's like kind of there. Oh, cool with that. You won't actually see it because when you're in there, you'll never actually see the top of the bench. You see how my top of the bench has the yellow?
Yeah.
You're using them like upside down. But so if you want like a quick way to make them all flip, you can grab all of them and make their Z scale like -2. Yeah, like 2. Just to grab them. Get a little tricky sometimes. You can always also grab them from here. Oh, they probably can't touch it. Oh, there's some up there.
yeah, I can kind of just drag that this one and then just turn the Z over.
It might be the Z or the Y. I'm not sure. Everything right now. The Y.
That's scale, right? Okay. Why do we need scale as opposed to it's in this rotation?
Well, it is rotation, but if you just wanted to quickly just flip them, you just make basically their scale negative. It's just like a quick way to
Gotcha,
just
okay.
literally like invert it. You get it?
Yeah.
Because if you use the rotation, it might like rotate like them all in a weird axis.
Suppose there's some faster than just taking back and forth between here and there.
I mean, you could use Q and E to go up and down too. Q and E goes like while you're holding right click. You can that just goes like directly up and down. I guess like a fast way would be to put a cube there and then to always just double click that cube up there, double click the cube down there. That's a short way of doing it. There's multiple ways of doing things in Unity.
So is it the entire thing that you blocked off? Entire platform? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can see the whole thing.
Yeah, I kind of made the whole thing like this.
That's the portal at the end, or?
Yeah, there's a portal at the end. So this portal will teleport you here, and then you'll go, and then ideally you'll hit this, and then we'll have like some sort of finale. Now that doesn't have to be anything, but it's just going to be a theoretical finale. Um, maybe we'll teleport the player into like a dance video or something like that. I don't know, but like there needs to be something that signifies the end. We obviously can't like make like a whole shooting game like in a weekend, but we can definitely make like a demo of one. Yeah, these assets are very beautiful, very fun to work with. I just love assets that you could just tear apart and repurpose and reuse in many different ways like this. Don't be shy to use any other assets that you might think look cool. But just as long as we got this kind of principle going here.
You show your enemy ship again,
Hmm?
the bad guy ship, possibly built.
Oh yeah, yeah. It doesn't have to exactly be like this. It's just like it's a concept. Um,
Concept.
Alright, so wherever you got the level so far, it's cool. You know, you can keep tweaking it and stuff. But my goal is to show you that you can dynamically create these levels, and that the AI that we're about to prepare will dynamically be able to traverse it. So that's the goal of this exercise, right? So now we have our model. Hopefully, I have this parasite L star key or whatever. So now what I want to show you, now this is actually really cool. So this is probably one of my favorite features of Unity. So to get started with kind of making this AI, here's what we're gonna do, right? So I want you to grab this parasite or whichever character you have as your AI and just pull them into the world here, just like that. So mine looks like this. He seems to have this weird transparency thing that some of these have. In case your character has that, you can just kind of click twice to enter its skin. It's usually right under the hips here. It's this one. So if you click that and you open his material, it says transparent here. Just make it opaque, and then he should look like proper. Sometimes makes some on import and just does that. Okay, so just if your character's got that weird transparency thing, open the character in there. Right next to the hips should be the skin that has the material. When you open this material here, rendering mode, sometimes it's transparent and it looks like that. You want it opaque. Opaque means like not the opposite of transparent. So let's just kind of prepare this character first, and we're doing just the same thing that we did before. Since we are animating this character, he's gonna have an animator controller. So we're gonna create a new animator controller. So you just right click somewhere in your project, create animator controller, and call it like AI or enemy AI, more appropriate, enemy AI, something like that. Once you have that animator controller, you can click your character, your AI, enemy guy, and pull the animator controller into right here where it wants the controller. So just go ahead and do that. Then when you have that set up, you can double click the animator controller to open it, and you'll be greeted with this menu, just like how we've had before. In here, I want you to pull the idle animation to start with. So the idle is usually, the one that's just the baseline animation. And once you have it in here, you double click that to make it loop in here. Click loop time, apply, and now your character should, oh, I got maximized on play. Now your character should just be doing this. He should just be chilling there, like that. So,
When I drag it in, it gives me a black box.
sometimes the Mixamo animations are like that. Just as long as it's the right one. You just double click it. Yes, and just take on. And we can apply. Yeah, sometimes it just does that. If you just want to rename it there so you know what it is, you can do that. Oh, name it right there. This is a Mixamo thing. You pull the idle. That's a locking place, yeah. So, yeah, so did you make the animator controller? So right click somewhere, create animator controller. Yeah, call it like NVAI. And then click your character. Yeah, and then pull that. Yep. And then you can open that. And then in there you want to pull the animation. So I don't know where it's not even there. But no. Oh, you did put it in. Okay. Yeah, so that file, once you have it, you can pull it in there.
You need to, in order for us to see it, we need to be a frame.
To see what?
I don't know, like that.
Yeah, to see it move. Let me just make sure you're not maximizing it.
So I need to
Yeah,
probably,
it's ready.
I need to probably move the,
Not yet. Well, the player will get there. Don't worry.
is it a wrong arrangement?
No, it's fine. You just have you have a different idol. You just use the idol that
No,
looks
I
like
just use yours so I can follow the good.
Still works. That's definitely an idol. Yeah. It's fine. It's idol. So you just downloaded my zip file?
Yeah.
I mean, it still works.
Okay. So do we need to move our camera or the player for?
Not yet. Player will navigate there.
Does this loop automatically?
No, it doesn't. If you want to make a loop, you double click the animation in the animator controller to enter the, or you can always also click the animation file here. That's also the same thing as when you double click in here, it basically just takes you to the file here, and then it's right here. You has the little loop time check mark. So now here's the fun part, right? So there's another step that we have to do in order to make this level that we just created here walkable. So remember how I showed you, like, in order to get lighting calculated or whatever, things have to be static. So it seems like all of our objects are already static here. If you just click them, and over here you see it says static check mark. So not all objects are always static in Unity. Just these assets already kind of came with the check mark static on. So again, static just means that the object won't move. It's just a part of the scene, and the scene is just there. Other objects move on top of it, but it itself is just static. So there is this Unity feature that we're going to be using that's going to help the AI pathfind around these obstacles. So, and that's called a navigation mesh. So here's how you get that window up, right? So you click window, and then in there, all the way towards the bottom, you should see navigation. So window, and then all the way here is to say navigation. So if you open that, it's going to open a new window here for something called the nav mesh, navigation mesh. So
What do we click on?
so window, you open a new window, and then down here it's just say navigation. So now this also used to be a pro only feature, and until even not that long ago, this didn't even exist as a feature. You had to write your own AI code for something like pathfinding. Well, Unity nowadays has simplified it to the extreme, something as complex as pathfinding. So you have to understand, like, if we were just doing classic code, and if our guy is right here, the AI would try to find the shortest path and would probably run into a wall. Like, there is some complex behaviors that you have to tell an AI to avoid a wall, to go around it, and to try to find a player, right? So luckily, we don't have to, graduate from a computer science major with a minor in programming to write an A-star script to do something like that. Nowadays, it's all kind of already designed for you. There's really only a few really good ways to do pathfinding. So again, Unity thought, why not just throw it in there? Because people probably want to do that pretty often. So here's what you have to do to set up an environment to make it walkable. Once you have this navigation window open, I want you to go here to where it says bake. So you click on bake, and then here there's a few settings, things like agent radius, agent height. What those basically mean is like the height and the radius of an agent. Now an agent in this instance is going to be our AI. So think of the agent like the zombie is the agent. So the agent is going to navigate through a maze, basically.
Is this an
Hmm?
agent? Is this an agent?
Like an agent.
Yeah.
It's just agent. This is what it's called. So all these settings are fine. We don't have to tweak anything. All you have to do is just click bake here. As you click bake, it'll take a sec, and you'll notice that it'll generate this blue mesh around all the areas that look like they're walkable. And you'll notice how it'll avoid areas that look like they're not. Right? See that? So now I'll just kind of explain this real quick, what this basically does. So what this basically did was it generated the walkable path. It kind of found like the shortest, kind of way to kind of, get to any of these points. Now, any quote-unquote agent or AI that is on this blue area can reach any other part of the blue area, and it will try to do so in like a navigation fashion. So you'll notice it won't go through the wall because it knows there's a wall there. It will go around the wall, around this wall, and then get here. Now we have basically this setup, and we have our guy here. Now obviously, this guy still doesn't know, what any of this stuff is, but we prepared our environment for navigation. So like I said, this is gonna be really cool. You're gonna enjoy this. So now how do we get this guy from this point to say like here? Like I want him to walk over here, and I want him to kind of go around these walls. So the first step to doing that is you're gonna, we don't need this navigation window anymore. So you can just click inspector here to just get out of that. You can even close it if you want. You can right click and close that tab. So we don't need that. All we needed to do was just to bake it, and then we're all goody. We don't need to even look at that anymore. If you ever want to bring that back up and see that blue grid, or if you change your level or something like that, you're going to need to open that again and just rebake the navigation mesh in case you move some walls or something. But for now, all we want to do is to click on our guy here, our enemy, and we're gonna go to component, and we're gonna add, I believe, yeah, I don't even know where to keep it now. I know what it's called, but like I want to see where you find navigation. Yeah, component navigation, and then you're gonna select nav mesh agent. So you add a nav mesh agent component to this character, and you will see that automatically it will create like a size kind of barrier around the character, and you can even see the icon here on the component. It's like a little walking guy. So basically, we made this object into a nav mesh agent. We already have a nav mesh. It's that blue thing that was on the floor, and now we have a character, and the character has a nav mesh agent on it. So we are almost ready to have this nav mesh agent walk around this nav mesh. The last step that we have to do is we have to create a script for our AI that's going to actually tell it, go there, go here, attack, etc., etc. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to right click, create C# script, and we're going to call this enemy AI. No spaces. You're going to open up that script. Now again, if you ever want to work with a component inside a script, you only have to look as far as the name of the component. So when I click my guy, what's the component's name? Nav mesh agent. So the component that we want up here, we could just type nav mesh. Oops, actually no. So here's something that you have to add to Unity before you can work with any of the AI features that Unity has. So this is probably the only time. Remember how I told you when we first started this tutorial, and I was like, you don't have to look at any of these using, all this stuff is like baloney. You're probably not going to need it for the most part. So we are going to add another using here. Now using basically just is like using libraries. So things like Unity Engine, System Collections, it just comes with Unity. So there's other things that come with Unity as well. They're just not always included in every script. So I believe you should type right under here, right under using Unity Engine. It doesn't have to be under, it could be above. But you should type using and then Unity Engine .ai, like that. So capital A, capital I, and then semicolon. And that's it. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Let's do that. So right up here, you're going to type using Unity Engine AI. So what this now allows us to do is to use all of the nav mesh and AI specific code functions inside of our script. So by defining this using up here, it's basically including all of that stuff into this script.
It's not included in the third line? Using
So it's in the fourth line. It's not. Yeah, you have to be specific. It should be, right? I don't know why it doesn't include all the specific under. When you do UI, sometimes you have to using Unity Engine .ui as well. I don't know why it should, right? Anything that's after this should be included, but it's not. Don't ask me why. I have no idea.
Does that mean it's a separate asset?
No, it's just I don't know why it's it's just how the C languages are, and you have to be specific. I guess the sub-library. See, saying using system collections isn't enough. You have to say using system collections generic. I don't know. It's just how it is. I guess that's just how C languages work. But Yeah, using Unity Engine AI right here. So now I can now type here nav mesh agent. So that's what the component is called. That's what the class type is called. So you just type it like this with the capital N, capital M, capital A. So nav mesh agent, and you can just say my agent here. So we're just defining this variable. And then on start, we're gonna get that as a component. So remember, our agent is a component on our object. So all you have to do is my agent is equal to get component nav mesh agent, like that. So now on start, I'm getting the nav mesh agent component and I'm assigning it to my agent. So now anytime I want to do something like, hey, my agent, go to that position, all you do is type my agent dot set destination, whatever. That's kind of what we're going to be doing here, right?
So when you say nav mesh agent as a type, it's basically a character, or is it?
It's just this. It's literally this component nav mesh agent that we added here. So that knows now that we're talking about that. You get it? Like it's just you using this.
Walk around, basically. Something that will walk around in the area of base.
Yep. So, because there's a very specific function that we want to use from this nav mesh agent in our script. So the other thing that we have to define right after nav mesh agent, my agent, is we also have to define our destination object. So where is it going? Like who's it going towards? So here we're gonna do a public transform, just like how we've been doing before, and we're gonna call this my destination or whatever, my destination object or whatever you want to call it. So for the first thing, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just run it like a test, and we're just gonna use something like a cube. We're gonna make it follow along a cube, but then you'll see that very easily you could replace my destination with my player. So because we always want the zombie to go towards the player. So just think of this as just being like a placeholder object for where it wants to go. So yeah, just type that in, my public transform my destination. And then on update, since our position is going to change always, the player is going to move often. On update, so the destination has to change often as well. So on update, this is where the magic happens. So you do my agent dot set destination. It's right there, and it wants a vector 3, so it wants a position. Where do you want me to go, boss? So you do my agent set destination and open parentheses. Where are we going? We're going to my destination dot position, right? Just like that.
My destination is
An object.
an object, not
Yeah.
a
So let's rename that just so it's even clearer. My destination object. Let's call that my destination object dot position. Just so it's clear, because it's a transform is a actual. It'll be a cube for now. You'll see what we're gonna do. So yeah, my agent dot set destination open parentheses my destination object dot position. So now with this script good to go, all we have to do is go back to Unity and are you still typing it? Yeah, I'll leave it up for another minute. But basically we'll add the script to our enemy that has the nav mesh agent. So then take the script that you just wrote, enemy AI, and add it to your enemy. Like that. And you'll notice that my destination object right here, it's expecting like, you know, a destination object. So where's this guy gonna go to, right? So now, just as a test, we're gonna make a cube right here, just an average cube, and just put it like, you know, like here or wherever you want.
Add a component to add this to him?
Just add to the enemy, to your enemy, add that script that you just wrote. You can add it by dragging it on the hierarchy or by dragging it in here. So yeah, now the last thing, and it will work, is this cube right here, right? So check it. So this cube, I'm gonna drag it into my destination object. So now I've basically told this guy that this destination is this cube. Make sense? So watch what happens now. So I press play, and he's gonna walk right under the cube. Now watch this. Now I'm gonna grab this cube and I'm gonna move it. So I'm in play mode right now, and I'm gonna move this cube over here and watch what he's doing. See that? Right? See that? So that's a very simple AI right there. Very cool, right? And notice how he avoids the wall. He's gonna keep trying to go around the wall. And if I go someplace where he just can't reach me, he'll just give up at some point. He'll get there and be like, oh, sorry, can't be done. Yep. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave this here, and yep.
No, not yet. I'm having issues.
Yeah, just because we need this my destination object.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is a.
Yep, and then put the cube, make a cube. Make a cube, just make a new cube, you know, the cube, the other cube. And then that cube, we're gonna pull it into there, so you're gonna really pull it. Well, not yet, you're gonna put the guy first. And then you're gonna scroll down. You're gonna pull, so you wanna scroll that down. And then you're gonna go
I just have the cube.
and then pull the cube. and
Oh, it takes
then
my
pull
player.
the destination.
Oh, you're agent. Yeah,
And now you should be able to do the same thing with your drag, press play. You should be able to, don't do maximize. Drag it to set the
Oh,
maximize.
you don't have one.
Yeah, so now if you press play,
Right.
you should be able to move that cube around. So flip with the cube. Missing component. Oh yeah, there's no nav mesh agent. You have to first put it on the guy. On this guy. You have to put here the enemy AI. Why do you put the post processing?
The code
Put
should
this,
say
put
what's
the
up.
post processing
There
script on the guy.
should be a little slot here, and then go there.
So you have to put the.
cube.
Where'd you put the navigation before?
Into the bottom.
Oh no, this is the
Now it
navigation
should start
window.
following.
So this is the thing that you use to bake.
So you're a
You
maximize?
put the bake button. Scroll down. You have to put the bake button. And yeah, see then it drew the path. Yeah. So now what you do is then guy, that's a great camera.
You think we
Right,
can
we need
use
some navigation.
Yes, we
So the guy, you not only have an AI, he also needs his, or you can go in here, component,
Yeah, you can.
navigation,
You can put a negotiation.
agent. So you wanna make him an agent.
It
Now
does,
he's an
however,
agent,
like
and
the
he has
game's
a
playing
script.
good, but I'm still looking at another.
Now,
system.
now it should be.
You started the game, so I separated my window.
And,
Oh, I think you can separate one.
Yeah, separate.
There you go. So now, when you press play, you should, yeah, see that?
Yeah.
I'm following. Oh, there you go.
Yep. Does yours work?
Yeah, click.
Yeah? Sweet. Alright. And we'll do the walk animation too. Don't worry about it. Is yours working?
Yeah, it works.
Alright, great. Yours working? Ooh, that shouldn't be a problem. I believe. Oh yeah, you have to. Oh, you forgot. You changed Unity Engine to Unity Engine. Yeah, so it needs to have both. That's why I can't find like any of its original stuff. So yes, you have Unity Engine and Unity Engine AI. Because then it didn't know how to use any of the Unity Engine stuff. That's why I was like, what's model behavior? Just like that, yeah. Same. Then, what do you do? So, you can always pull it from there. Okay, so you made the spaces. Rename the script. See, the name of the script has to be exactly the same as the name of the class. So it has to be capital E, exactly the same. Yep. Okay, so now give it a sec to compile. Then when it's done compiling, then it should work. Yep, not good. Yep, and then scroll down there, and then, yeah, so then add like a cube. Yeah, so just click the, oh, you can't do it like that. You have to click the guy, then you have to go down, and then you go. Hey, you can also undo to undo selection as well. Let's do that too. Yep, and I'll press play. Yep. And then move it around. And you go behind the wall. Yeah. And then you'll see later, like, well, you can make this as complex as you want. Like, make that maze literally as complex as you want, and it will find its way through. As long as you bake that nav mesh each time you change something. Okay? So, pretty fun, right? Now, obviously, the first problem that you could see here is that, our guy is not walking. So, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do a quick, walking animation thing on him, and then we'll take a quick break. So here's how you do that. So let's see here. So in the animator. So if you just open up the animator again, this time pull in the walk animation. So let me see which one it is. Alright, walking in place. So just pull it in like that as another animation. And then remember how when we did the goalie and we had a parameter that we set on the goalie where like if angry is equal to true, then, switch animation. So we're going to kind of do the same thing. So here's how you're going to do it, right? So here, once you've added this, you're gonna go to parameters here in Animator, and we're gonna add a new parameter, and you do that by making this little plus icon here. So click parameters here, make the plus, and add a bool type, so that's like, you know, true or false, and call it walking, lowercase. So walking is not true right now. So
Well, where did you, I'm sorry, can you just repeat what you said?
so Animator, just click parameters right here, and then make the little plus icon just to add a new parameter, new boolean. Are you an Animator?
Yeah, I just want to see what the parameter is.
Walking.
Oh.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So to make the connection, so yeah, call it walking. To make the connection, you right click on the idle, make transition, and then pull it to walking in place, like that. Boom. Then, because we don't want this to just happen automatically, we want this to happen based on if walking is true. So to add a condition to this arrow, you click the arrow, and then the arrow will show you all of the, you know, transition information. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to tweak this timeline. So you don't want this animation to happen so late. See here, if I preview this, see how long he's standing still and then he starts walking? I don't want that. I want like this to be all the way at the beginning. So I want to move this timeline to the beginning like that. And then, you know, that animation transition happens very quickly. The other thing I want to do is this where it says has exit time. I want to uncheck that. Has exit time, again, what that means is it waits for the first animation to finish before it plays the next one. Don't want that. I want it to play right when he starts walking. I want him to start walking. I don't want him to wait for his idle animation to finish, which could be God knows how long. So you click the arrow. Then you click where it's here, where it says conditions, list is empty. Click plus, and it'll automatically put the walking condition there because you only have one condition. So if walking is true, then do this. It'll switch to walking in place. Then do the same thing in reverse for back. So make transition from here back to idle, and click that back arrow and move this timeline back. Same thing. This time conditions, if walking is false, then go back to idle. You can see how this can make sense. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Yeah.
The line that connects them.
Put the other one.
Oh, you do?
And just pull the timeline back. You want to have, yeah, and shorter. Just to happen quickly. You don't want it to take like a minute. Yeah, and then check off that has exit time. You want it no exit time. And do the same with the other one. Yep. Just like I said, you don't want like it to wait this long till it changes animation.
So,
That the true is fine.
first one.
Yeah, because if it's true, if walking is true, then it switches to walking animation. Yep. Yep, just like that.
Once they overlap the.
Because there's two animations. You have one animation and then the other animation, and it changes between them. You get it?
Yeah,
There's
so
a
it's-
transition.
So it's okay for that to overlap?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they have to overlap. Yes. It's you're choosing them to overlap like quickly. You already got it.
I
Made it a little long. You should make it shorter. It's fine. You can make it even shorter. It's just you need it like You need him to just start walking, like right away. You don't want him to like take his sweet time starting to wind up the walk, you know? Because that's what it looks like if you make it stretch. Very good. Alright. Okay, so the animator controller is set up. The only thing that you have to do now is you have to check this thing here. So that has to happen dynamically. So how I'm doing it here, but obviously not in here, has to happen in script. So when the character is moving, we need to detect that and basically tell the animator, okay, I'm walking now. So play the walking animation. That's basically the logic of this. So in our script, since we're going to be working with the animator quite often, we're going to define the animator too, just like how we defined the nav mesh agent. And we're going to call it right here, we're going to say animator, my animator, just like that. So we don't always have to do get component, my animator, to change the boolean, you know, we could just do my animator, change the boolean. And then only once on start, so after you define it here, only once on start you do my animator is equal to get component animator, like that. So just add that. So now that we made, you know, we get that component animator, just like how we did it with the goalie example. It's the exact same principle. The only thing is, we're gonna check the speed of our agent is kind of how we're gonna detect if walking is happening or not. So here's how we're gonna do it, right? So on update, you make a few lines here. You're gonna do if my agent dot, I believe, velocity. Yeah, so if my agent dot velocity. Now velocity is a vector 3. It's got 3 coefficients, x, y, and z. So we don't need all of those. We just need one number. You know, if it's a velocity of, you know, 10 miles per hour or 0 miles per hour. I don't care if it's 10 miles per hour in y or in x. It doesn't matter to me. I just need the overall, you know, speed. So to get the overall magnitude of a vector, you basically do something like velocity dot magnitude. So magnitude basically converts like a vector 3 into just one number, into one float, which just is a speed value for us. So it's just a simple one. And if my agent dot velocity dot magnitude is bigger than 0, like that, and then you do my animator dot set bool walking true. Oops. Comma, walking, comma, true, like this. Else, so that's like if magnitude is not bigger than 0, so it means it's probably equal to 0. My animator dot set bool walking false. So just like this.
So walking is a name
of the parameter that you set in the animator. Remember, like this walking, you can set this, you know, we're going to have other things. We're going to have attacking. We're going to have some other custom parameters that we set in here. So we set walking in here, and then all this stuff only happens if that's true. So that's what you're setting to true here now in the script.
You have to put a semicolon after the second loop, the if loop?
Not after the if, just after the statement right here. So Now having this done, let me just test that. And there he goes. He's walking. And he stops. See that? So once his speed equals to 0, he's standing still. See that? Just as expected. So that is like a very simple AI with a custom animator.
How do you make him glide less? If they're using it?
I mean, it's kind of up to the animation and the speed, you know. It really depends on your animation. There's really no way to like make him not glide. It's kind of like an illusion, all of it. We're definitely probably going to slow these guys down. They're very fast. So, you know, if you want to tweak things like the speed of the guy, you just click him, and that's in his nav mesh agent. You see speed right here? Make it like speed of 1. Even you can change the angular speed, so the speed that he turns. Everything is kind of set in this nav mesh agent component, and you can see now he's very slow. Oh, and he stopped animating. So the reason is because we forgot to make it loop. But yeah, so yeah, the last thing, just make your walk animation loop. You should already know how to do this. So just in animator, quick way to do it is just double click the walking animation, check loop time, and you should be good to go. So I'm gonna put this script up here, and we could take a little break. Let's see. Was that the walk animation? Let me see. The animator again. Walking through. What's the other one? Oh, let me see the script. Oh, you didn't save the script.
Oh.
You can always tell by there's a little icon right next to the X there.
Oh.
The triangle. Yeah, just you gotta make a loop. Yeah, loop time. What?
Oh, that's like it.
That's
Oh, that's cool.
pretty cool, right? Yeah.
It's real quick.